What made you straight up nope out of a relationship? How about things that should have been red flags, but I was too naive to recognize? Left notes on my car windshield when I was at work / a friend's house / the store. Seemed sweet, but I realized later that was my so keeping tabs on me, even when I didn't say where I was. Let me know how much a hitman cost and that it was cheaper than you'd expect. Would tell me something and then later say that was a lie or a test, as though I should have figured that out instead of expecting the truth. Expected me to answer every call and would get angry if I wanted to end the call first. Complained about my friends and family all the time. All of them. Apparently everyone I knew was manipulative and or rude. I didn't figure out this was an attempt to isolate me until after we broke up. He had already shown very jealous tendencies and had smacked me over the head because he thought I was looking at a guy, so it wasn't good already. We were outside of his friend's house and his friend asked how I was doing and he got mad at me for answering. I just got in my car and drove away. I'm glad you're out of that now. I kept having to call the cops to calm down my wife after she became addicted to a slew of prescription drugs. I told her doctors that opiates for a ruptured vertebrae, stimulants for ADHD, Ambien most nights to help her sleep and an assortment of others for anxiety and depression, and more to combat side effects, made her violent. One of the times that I called the cops to calm the situation down during a bad episode just made me cry. All he had to say was that he had already been there and asked when it would stop. I thought I'd been holding things together reasonably well. I had an office job where no one knew what was up. Though my work had suffered greatly, I kept clothes and food in my trunk, just in case I had to stay out for a bit, because she had decided I was part of the conspiracy. I had a gym on the way to work I could where I could shower or just have some downtime. I did all of our housework and errands, because she couldn't work or do much of anything most of the time. Each time she cut herself she told the hospital it was an accident, and she always tried to go to a different one. We lived in a major metro, between hospitals. The cops saw through it. Being seen like that, and knowing that even that lifestyle was running out hurt. I'm now recovering from the divorce, and enjoying the calm. I still sometimes panic for no reason, and I feel more comfortable with clothes and food stashed in the trunk. But I feel much healthier. I get more sleep. My blood pressure has normalized, for the most part. I don't cry at work anymore. I received a message that clearly wasn't meant for me. We just had our first date which went really well, calling me cheap and a slimeball, and how I'm on my last chance to make things right on her coming birthday with lots of presents. I replied, hi, this is X. We just met and had one date. Was that message for someone else? She replied, pretending to be her 12-year-old sister. Then apparently her dad messaged me with how he's told off his younger daughter. I'm out. F that S. This one is hilarious. Should have said something like, what kind of a father shares accounts of their discipline with a guy who dated their daughter once? I need to speak with your mother. Please put her on immediately, and then see how big you could make the cast of family members supporting her attempt to get another date and a nice birthday present. When he didn't want to have sex because he was grossed out by my period that I had finished 3 days prior. Noped out of that one real quick. Wouldn't really call it a relationship as it was only 3 dates, but I had met this girl at a wedding. She was a friend of a friend and we shared numbers that night. Texted for a while and then had a date. First date was probably a big red flag, but I shrugged it off. We had connected on Facebook and she noticed that she went to college with a girl I went to high school with. No big deal. Until I found out she had been messaging that girl and asking her all these questions about me in high school. Who did I date? What car I drove? Etc. Anyway, third date rolls around. I wasn't really sure how long we would be together, so typically I wouldn't have taken her to a really nice restaurant so early in a relationship. But I was in the mood for steak, so I took her to a pretty high-end steakhouse. I have never been more embarrassed by someone's behavior in public in my life. And I have a 6 and 3-year-old at home now. She sent 3 martinis back because they weren't made correctly, while being extremely insulting and rude about it. She ordered a steak medium and then got pissed because she insisted she ordered it medium rare. Both the waiter and I told her she had ordered medium. She was making comments about what other women in the restaurant were wearing, and not very subtly. Then, despite me trying to get out of there without buy her dessert, she got a dessert menu and expected them to make her something that they didn't have on the menu. They had cheesecake and she wanted chocolate cheesecake. Another outburst at the staff. On the way out the door she made a point to stop and complain to someone loud enough other customers could hear. When we got into my car I was so embarrassed I pretended I had left my credit card on the table so I could go back in. I gave the waiter an extra $20 and apologized, telling him I was dumping her as soon as I got to her place. He laughed and told me he wished he could see it. I didn't really give her a chance to say much. She called me a loser and stormed off. Haven't seen or heard from her since. He slapped me. I bounced the F out. One day he casually told me he has a wife and 2 daughters, but was unhappy and his wife never suspects anything. Stalked me for 2 months to change my mind. Crazy guy. I told her I was going to leave her, and she said, "So you're going to leave me just like you left your brother?" My twin brother committed suicide in 2017, and she knew how much guilt I had over not being there for him. Such a manipulative, disgusting thing for any person to say, especially someone who claims to love you. I moved out 2 days later. She threatened to stab me. We were dating for a month. You rolled a 6. Successful evade. He wanted me to grow out my pit and leg hair and texted, called, and emailed me repeatedly about it. It seemed like a pretty silly thing and he just had a little fetish. But after several days of this my sister said, "Why do you always attract the controlling freaks?" And I finally had a moment of clarity. With someone who has very fast hair growth, this almost seems like a godsend, but they seemed pretty obsessed about it. I had a very long and toxic relationship with an ex. I had wanted to leave for years, but he would threaten to kill himself, and I would end up staying. I finally got the courage to walk away when I was diagnosed with several benign liver tumors and was told by the doctor that it was very important with this type of tumor to immediately and permanently stop taking hormonal birth control. I researched it on my own and confirmed the single most important thing I could do to avoid further complications was to stop taking hormonal birth control for good. I told my then husband about the appointment and he said, so calmly, "Well, that's going to be a problem." I was like, "What do you mean? I'll go to the gyno as soon as I can get an appointment and we can just use condoms until then." Nope. Condoms were unacceptable because we were married, and not having sex until I got to the gyno was also unacceptable. What really made my blood run cold though was when he suggested that I should continue to take birth control as normal and just not tell the doctor. "He'll never know," he said. Then he went on to suggest maybe I could go on and off birth control so I'd be off of it before any follow-up appointments with this doctor to ensure that he'd never know. I was totally stunned and I just looked at him and said, "You understand this could kill me? This isn't about placating a doctor. This is about my life." He just shrugged and said he wasn't using condoms and I needed to figure it out. I did figure it out. I left him more than a decade ago and have never been happier. She picked me because I had the same first name, general appearance, and lived in the same area of the state as her ex-fiancé of 2 years that she had just been dumped by a month before we met. I felt even more offended about all of that than just being straight up rejected. Next level rebound. My brother came to visit me after I spent whole day with my GF. It was time to see my brother because we did not see each other for a long time. We prepared some snacks and about to start Lotta because both of us love Lotta. She called me and started a long conversation on phone. I said my brother waits for me and she said that I cannot spend my time with anyone because it belongs to her. It was last talk between 2 of us. It's either me or random family member been there. When my now ex-wife came into the living room where I was sleeping on the couch after a fight and started lunging at me, she asked me if she reminded me of my stepdad who used to come in my room at night and stand over me before he dragged me out of bed by my ankles. He would then put the boots to me for whatever sins I had committed that day. She was the only person I had ever shared this with. She went out of town for work 2 days later, and when she came home I was gone, and in another state. It was remarkable the amount of abuse I put up with to that point. It dawned on me then that if he had returned to my life I wouldn't let him hurt me, so there was no reason to let her abuse me either. Edited to @ thank you for all the kind words and support, especially the support given to others who shared their similar stories. Peace, happiness and love to you all. We had been together for quite a while, 6 to 8 months, and lived together for at least 2 months. When I decided to make tuna salad, I asked how he liked it. He told me. I came back with 2 bowls. Half the can made his way, and half the can made the way I liked it. He completely freaked out. He said, if we can't agree on how to eat tuna, how will this ever work? I said that we don't have to agree, we can both have it exactly the way we want and be happy. He vehemently disagreed. I started thinking of all of his other controlling behavior and inability to compromise. It wasn't that day that we broke up, but it was definitely the day our relationship broke. The cheating didn't help either. It was already on the rocks from roughly around the time the millionth drunken argument happened. However, the moment that sealed it was when she said something to me along the lines of, if your dad wanted to be alive he would still be here. My dad died in a car accident 3 years before that. Immediately went from loving her enough to make it work to thinking she was the most vile person on earth. She kept waking me up over and over all night trying to have an argument with me. The argument was about me going to sleep. This isn't funny, my ex used sleep deprivation to control me. It's serious abuse. If someone won't let you sleep, Eater, thank you for taking this seriously. Your stories break my heart. I hope every one of you are safe or manages to get safe. Eater 2, I don't want to hear people joke about their innocent babies being abusive. I've had 4 babies and they are innocent beings that rely on you to stay alive. Eater 3, yes. Cats are jerks. It's serious abuse. If someone won't let you sleep, glares at upstairs neighbor. But in all seriousness, I dealt with that too with an ex. It sucked, and of course I'd be too drained to give a polite answer, so it would escalate the argument. He put a gun in my face and threatened to kill me. Noped right out, even though we had been married 4 years and had kids. I wasn't going to be around for the day he actually pulled the trigger. We went to the mall and stopped by this little kiosk selling cookies. I decided that I would get 1 cookie. The lady working there said, if I buy 2 I get 1 free. I decided to buy 2 and get the third one free. My date went off on this lady saying she's trying to scam me etc etc. He was legit yelling, so loud that it was echoing through the mall. It was so embarrassing. If you're rude to people in customer service, you're not for me. Giving you 1 free because you bought 1 more is scamming you. Told everybody she knew about any little disagreement. Anytime I could be perceived unreasonable, it was everyone's business. But somehow the surprises, special dates, lending her cousin rent money, all of that wasn't brought up. Just negative stuff was public knowledge. This was my ex-husband to a T. He would publicly humiliate me at every opportunity if I made a mistake or cost us money. But the fact that my parents bailed him out of every financial disaster he got into, or that I worked 3 jobs while going to school and raising our kids while he pissed money away on a business wasn't up for discussion. Then when I stopped being a doormat for him, he asked me for a divorce. 1 year later, and I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay the bills, graduated, and have a nice house. I feel like a yoke was lifted from my shoulders. She taped photos of her ultrasounds of a child she lost custody of with masking tape around my apartment on her first visit to my apartment. Bro, WTF. Not even pictures of the child, just the ultrasounds. Probably the only photo she had. When she came home drunk one night, asking me if my brother had told me. Told me what? That I cheated on you with him. Edit. My brother cheated on his GF with my GF. Just to make everything even more fucked up. Edit 2. No. This all happened a month before she came home, drunk, and told me, which was autumn 2019. Edit 3. No. I didn't sleep with his ex-GF. And no. I didn't punch him or anyone. The only thing I did punch was my ex's concrete wall. Followed me to a night out. Got on his knees stopping traffic in the middle of a city center street to declare his love. We had been on 2 dates. He also told me that same night he could see into the future and already knew he was going to die defending my honor while I was carrying our twins. Yeah, he was fun. Holy mother of flashbacks. Dated a guy who genuinely thought he was an anime character. A demon from hell who redeemed himself and fought other demons by night to lead a demonic revolution for the greater good. His words. He had a shrine of himself with a sword he have made by a Nepalese monk. Made anime noises when he hurt himself. Tried to start a gang who would fight in his name. Pretended his real name was Japanese and reinvented a whole part of his life. He'd transform every time he'd smell my period blood and refused to get a real job at 26 because his other job was too much pressure already. He broke up with me, I know, saying he was dark and I was light and it could never work because it would end up destroying us both and potentially the world. Edit. Forgot to mention he was calling himself the Shadow Slayer with capitals. Edit 2. Oh, and he also thought he could control the thunder. Edit 3. Since I'm getting a little tired of victim shaming jerks who tell me this situation says more about me than it does about him. Does it though? And ask me why I dated him in the first place. I'll answer here for everyone. He wasn't like this at first. I was just 18 and the day you get in a relationship with someone older, bigger, stronger and who does irrational scary shit, you'll realize you don't always think straight or do what must be done. I'm not proud of having dated him, but it was nearly 10 years ago and what's done is done. That said, thanks to everyone else for the rewards, laughs and discussions.